Welcome to our wavelength roundtables. We have them about once every other week or once a month, depending on the season. Our goals with these are really to share out best practices, new ideas, depending on where you are in your own alumni relations journey and your own school in terms of what age group you work with. Our intent behind these are to give you some baseline ideas, also scale it up so that you can have some table stakes, easy access, and call to action steps after a call like this. To have also pie in the sky future goals as you build out your program. So we always try and have a variety of options and questions as well as prompts to get you thinking more about each of the topics we provide. Today's presentation, the role of parents in alumni relations, will likely mostly focus on that young alumni space as they still have that relationship with you all after their child has graduated. But what we're going to be focusing on are really four key areas here. One, that connection to young alumni, as I mentioned. The other being career networking opportunities. The third being fundraising efforts. And the last being marketing and volunteer opportunities. So as we go through all four of these, if you all have any ideas yourself or any questions, feel free to interrupt, and there's always time at the end as well. So to begin, what we're going to focus on is that connection to the young alumni space. And there are really three areas there where parents can get involved. One is data updates. The other is scheduling and running events for these young alumni. And the last is sending care packages or helping with ongoing communication to this young alumni base on behalf of the school and parent combination. Because of their previous relationship with the school, they are used to having a role with your school, a relationship with your school and their child, and that in between still exists here, whether you're a K-8, K-12, whatever type of school you might be. The students are going off to a next step and stage in their either education or careers, and the parents, you still have that recency effect here. When it comes to data updates, what you want to focus on is oftentimes the data is going to change a lot more frequently with these young alumni. They are providing you a school email address of where they're attending next, but guess what? That school email address, just like your own, is going to be redundant after a certain amount of time. They might be moving more frequently. They might be getting a new job, whatever it might be. Those data updates are changing frequently. And this next stage in their life, your young alumni are not thinking about updating their alma mater. They haven't hit their fifth year reunion with you all, or even if they have, they're communicating with their peers on social media, over text, whatever channels they're using. So it's not a practice of theirs to think about updating you as an institution. That said, if parents see the value of what you are providing to their own children, even after they depart the school, parents might feel encouraged to update the information on their behalf. So what you want to think about is what frequency you're requesting this data updates from the parents, or what reason you're providing to them as to why they should be doing this rather than you establishing a relationship with their own child. And trust me, you want to try both ways, but the parents might be more interested in providing updates if they see the value out of what the intent behind the data is beyond fundraising. We actually have a confirm your data email. I know I've referenced this in the past with previous roundtables, but what we have here is actually the ability for you to have parents confirm the information of themselves, but also their family information. So that's their child or children. And this way, if they see visually, oh, you still have this email on file, or you still have their home address when they've moved to a city or state nearby, they're going to be prompted to make a change if they visually see missing or incorrect data. Again, prompt them with the reason behind this ask, but parents at that young alumni space, they're used to being your contact point from the get-go. You can still use that relationship to move on. In that young alumni space, as we're talking about that normalized relationship they already have with you as an institution, the scheduling and running of events might actually be really helpful to tap into this network. You have to be aware when it comes to young alumni events, if you're not doing it at your school, that the locations you're choosing are age appropriate, whether it's access to bar and alcohol or otherwise. There are a bunch of parents who already might want to be hosting. Think about the holidays. People are returning back from college, trying to gather some of the friends together. Maybe parents are willing to host or volunteer and give their time to a school sanctioned initiative where you can provide some funding to, encourage this gathering, but parents can help in the organizing and hosting of it because that's what they'd already be doing in the first place, or that's what they're used to doing with you previously. The last section around the young alumni space is really sending out those care packages. So when you're thinking about a child who is going off to college, are you able to share either some swag? Previously, a school has shared on a round table that they actually have a throw blanket with their logo, and it's loved by all of the freshmen going into their dorms, and they have another blanket for their new beds. But there's a lot of ways that you can
Into
acknowledge.
a Zoom
I'm just
webinar thing.
one second. Um, so when we are talking about those packages and what those care packages look like, think about the life stages in which people are going to be in over the next few years. You've got people heading off to college. So they've just graduated your school. They have a few months before heading off to their next college or their next step. And I'm again trying to be vague because we have schools from all different backgrounds and age groups here. But when they're heading into that next school, what could that care package look like? As I mentioned, that next step is them returning back home for a little bit over the holidays. That's when you can be having an event or encouraging parents to host an event. And then 4 years from there, you likely have a bunch of graduates from college or from high school or what have you, and celebrating their next step, acknowledging that they are still progressing in their own journey, but you as a school are still tracking their success. Again, even though the parents aren't paying for tuition at your school anymore, the student is a few years out. If you combine the request of that data that we've been talking about, that confirm your data, and say, we would love to send a care package to your child to celebrate their next, whatever that life stage might be, parents might be more willing to give out that information. And if you ask for help, I mean, you likely have had class parents or other high level volunteers from the parent side. And this is where start early, tag those parents in the back of your mind, or talk with the right people, the dean or whomever from those classes that are about to graduate, to hear what parents were super involved that you could tap into from the alumni side, develop that relationship before the student becomes the alum. But you can ask them to help come in and support in this outreach and see if that helps to mobilize some activities there. So as we've discussed with these young alumni, you've got the three things: data updates. Again, you want to be having and establishing your relationship with the young alumni so they get used to working with you. But if you lose their attention, which naturally happens with everything going on in their lives, it's okay to continue to have the parents as that conduit and that in between, at least to help continue to merge until that alum is ready to have a one-on-one relationship with the school in a different capacity than when they were wearing that student cap. The scheduling and running of events. No, those events should be low key. You as an institution should be able to start bringing in those young alumni into more formal events that you already host. But if you are having, let's say, a holiday gathering with drinks involved and you're worried about the young alumni, having a separate event or have it year by year. So it's that first year of graduates coming back and being able to put some funds aside the way you would for other alumni events, but have it targeted with some of the parent support. That's still okay. It's kind of this stepping stone or this step ladder as you think about growing that relationship with them and bringing them into the loop of the larger alumni initiatives you're providing. Lastly, those care packages, whether it's getting data from the parents or actually having them help out, you are not going to be getting every parent involved. You're going to be having likely two types of profiles. One, a parent who currently has another child at your school who also has an alum of your school, or two, a parent who was very, very involved with your institution from the get-go, who's willing to continue to support where they can. Don't start trying to have a broad sweeping volunteer base from these parents after their child has departed. But just think about having that small pool of individuals before graduation, knowing what parents might still be able to help out if it's relevant to you providing support. So that's that first section of young alumni and parents. We're now going into career and networking opportunities. This is a lot broader, and actually, these parents could be well beyond the young alumni space. If you're providing a job board, internship opportunities, and other career resources, parents, current parents, and past parents might be a lot more willing, especially if they're local in the area, trying to have, be able to hire people who were graduates of your school. They what might be willing to participate in this career and networking opportunity space well beyond that young alumni age range. So first of all, when you're thinking about jobs and internships, 2 weeks ago, we did cover kind of the job board career space where you can be providing resources to your alumni base. And if you all want those resources, I can resend out to you. But the jobs and internships, that's really where you need to have, this is a more extensive program. So when you think about scaling up what resources you're providing to your alumni base, having a live job board or a live internship opportunity space, this is a larger lift just because you need to make sure that there are always opportunities or that you're providing a wide range of options beyond just singular industries. So you want to be really intentional if you're thinking jobs and internships. The volunteer mentor space, that's really where you're going to be thinking about, are there people willing to volunteer their time to talk about their career industry by talking about a bunch of other aspects of, what does interviewing look like? What's a good resume supposed to look like? Things like that. And then lastly, there's a lot around the career days, interviews, and all of that, which we'll get into in a minute. And yes, I'll definitely share out the job and internship materials when I send out these resources tomorrow. So from a job board perspective, this is a quick screenshot. As you can see, it's actually from our staging and demo account here at Wavelength, but we provide a job board that allows users to post and find opportunities in their area. Now, with the job board, what we're really intentional about, again, the management of a job board requires you to be cleaning it up all the time, making sure there are opportunities here. So what we've done on our portal is actually we do have the ability to create a generic user so parents can come in and post, as well as have it be that if you post a job, there is a mandatory expiration date, so it self-deletes. So you don't have to go in and delete it yourself. The intent around asking parents to provide these career resources, they're going to see the value that you are trying to continue to provide to their own child. You're trying to show that there is a networking, that there are jobs, and that because they attended your school, there is an inherent access to opportunities on an ongoing basis. This is not limited to the local community of where your institution is geographically located. People can post jobs anywhere. It can be remote, but by relying on parents, this is actually a great way to get the job board off the ground. We oftentimes have schools who are just starting off with their job and careers, whether this is also internship opportunities. They will post school-specific roles within their institution. They will try and post other local community roles, oftentimes asking parents or community members they're close with to post roles here that are starter level. And then they'll target some older alumni to say, hey, we're trying to get this off the ground. Are there opportunities within the company you're working at or leading that would be relevant to our base of alumni here? Now, parents, again, this is going to be a wide range of different skill sets that they're coming from. So you're going to, by asking the parents and parent parents of alumni, you're going to have a wider range of industries to be offered rather than just education space, and they might be invested in being able to share out some opportunities. So when those opportunities are coming through, as I said, you want to kind of focus on those starter level jobs, internships, maybe even some mid-level opportunities. But that starter internship space is a real sweet spot here because as soon as you get to that mid-level, higher level job opportunities, that's when a lot of that is more relationship based. People are more established, have a sense of where they want to be going and into what type of companies, geographically, you name it. But it's really those young alumni or, seniors looking for internships that having a broad range of options as they're just figuring out what they want to be doing, that's the sweet spot there. So, as I mentioned around career opportunities, not only do parents have the wide range of industry access, they also have a lot of various skill sets. You might have different people at different levels when it comes to their careers, but they also will be able to provide a lot of advice. So we have, and this was another roundtable, we went into how to develop a volunteer job aid. This is more in-house for you all to be able to understand if I'm asking someone to be a volunteer, what skill sets do they need? What are the expectations? How do I track success? How do I support them? All of that. But in this visual, I just wanted to call out what you really want to think about with that role description is, are you asking them to be industry experts? Are you hoping that they can be a resource, whether it's to seniors or young alumni trying to figure out what major to get into? Are they able to reach out to a former parent to say, hey, I have a question about finance, being in the finance world? What does that look like in reality? Or are you trying to find some people who could help with resume reviewer? They're able to edit a cover letter. Or is it, a bigger ask? And this is always, I always bring this up. The word mentor, scary word. It brings a lot of weight around what am I signing up for? It takes a lot more management. So that career advisor mentor role, you really need to decide what you'd be asking of these parents. But if these parents are thinking that, hey, I'm helping someone like my own child, I'm happy to answer questions. This is where you can really focus on developing. It doesn't have to be as extensive as what you're seeing here, but if you do want to ask parents to support you on something, you always have to understand what's the ask and expectation you're setting for them, and what are you taking on from a time and resource perspective to actually have this be running smoothly. So if you do have a volunteer need of saying, hey, not only I think I can ask these parents to say, do you have any roles to support our job board, but are any of you willing to talk with some of our young alumni or individuals who are interested in, your industry or want to learn more about best practices when interviewing? Do you have the time? You can do a formal volunteer ask like this, or you can get into the space of doing some quick interviews, and similar to how you might have a career day, but instead do more, Zoom panels to let people call in from alumni listening to some really smart individuals who are able to share their advice. This is where you need to understand that not only can you tap into your current community of your staff, your parents, your students, there is this other base that because of the relationship you had with them, yes, you can be asking alumni to come back in and speak on these panels as well. I wouldn't leave off these parents of alumni. They could participate if you have the established relationship from the start and if they see the value of, oh, my child might be interested in this. If they're able to hear from someone who's an expert in their own space, I wouldn't mind being able to reciprocate for someone else's child. So think about what's the level of the ask. I'd say of these three options here around career and networking, that career days, those interviews, that is the lightest ask. That is a one-off. Let's get them in the door, being able to profile them in some articles. The other two asks, that job and internships, that takes management, that takes a portal to be able to have those posted. The volunteer mentor or the volunteering, that's that middle ground of have them accessible, but really what's the intent if you don't have a job in internship space, and who are they supporting? Is it just the young alumni? Is it just the grade in which their child graduated? There are a lot of questions that you need to ask yourself, and that's really why we start to have these formalized job aids that aren't supposed to be published live, but that's just in-house for you to start defining, does this make sense for my child? Does this make sense for me as a parent? And for you, when you're thinking about this, you need to consider, if you're proposing a volunteer role to a parent, how's it coming across? Because they're no longer part of your school, technically in their mind, but they are still a valued member of your community. So that's where we start getting into the trickier bits of fundraising efforts. This is where you've asked them for money before. They have also, paid a whole bunch of tuition into your institution. So really, what does this ask look like? Technically, again, we're going back to the young alumni space. They might still have a child at your school, so treat them as a current parent if that's the case. But there is a way to potentially ask or have them participate. Now, when you do this, you want to make sure that they're understanding the value in which you're providing to their child after they graduate. What type of alumni programming support, whether it's the career stuff that we just talked about, to ongoing events, to that community engagement vision of they are still a part of, this broader vision of they are lifetime members of your institution. So from here, as you're thinking about fundraising efforts, I really want to call out that you shouldn't be focusing on the alumni, the parent alumni base, but you shouldn't leave them completely off the table. Having them be able to still receive some materials, that's great. Don't have them be the target. You're going to know those major donors that might continue to give over time, and you're going to pocket those, but you're not going to you're going to have to assume a lower dollar value, and don't go after the parents who never were big givers in the first place. If you're trying to maintain any sort of fundraising initiatives, you'll be focusing on those who've given in the past, that maintain a relationship with you, that have asked, their child truly had such an amazing experience at your school. What can I do to help you? And that's really where you can start to really shorten that total list of, here are all of those young alumni parents. This is a group that might still give, or they might, and I'm going to get to this in the last section, maybe their words of wisdom can be used in marketing to be able to encourage current parents to give, because they see the value of, my child had the best time here. He's so successful in his next stage because such and such school set him up to be successful. He's more prepared than his peers. Whatever that quote, whatever that testimonial might be, could help in other fundraising efforts. So when we're thinking fundraising, yes, you automatically think of, are they giving a dollar value? But are there any sort of profiles that you can use of these parents, of these children being successful, to ask for dollars as well? So it's twofold: marketing as well as actual dollar ask. As I mentioned, that dollar ask, you really want to think through, I would be quite sensitive on how you approach this. Obviously, if you're doing a day of giving and you're posting on your social media channel, encouraging people to give, that is actually going to be where parents might still be following your school, and that's where they can organically give themselves. If you are truly targeting young alumni parents, that's where you really want to massage that message. Don't over ask. Be explicit on why you're doing that, and acknowledge their participation and their commitment over the last few years as well. That fourth section we talked about, this marketing and volunteer opportunities. As I said, those testimonials I'll get into in prospect marketing, but there are really two opportunities here. One is prospect marketing, and the other are parent ambassadors. For prospect marketing, this is again where I just mentioned profiling those parents and those student success stories. There is a huge opportunity for young parents deciding where to send their child, seeing, a successful student who's graduated, having a really positive experience at the school, hearing from parents, getting advice from them, on what's best, why this school in particular was so successful, that is really great marketing materials for you. Whether that's a video of a parent speaking, whether those are articles, quotes, whether they're speaking actually, and this is again a volunteer ask that you could have of can you come speak to prospective parents? This is where you have a lot of passionate parents who saw their child succeed at your institution tap into it. Now, again, with that management of you already have a full alumni base, you're just trying to engage with them. I am not asking or encouraging you to maintain a relationship with each and every parent who has graduated a child of your school, but definitely be aware of those engaged people. And again, it goes back to that engagement pyramid from another presentation we had where it's really focus on those people who have that commitment, whether it's that dollar value, whether it's that volunteering, whether they're going to be able to spread that word of mouth organically on your behalf. There are those parents that you know will be lifelong loyalists to you all. Now, parents love hearing success stories. It's also valuable if those parents can say, hey, you know, at one point we did think about going to whether it's a competitor school, a public school nearby, what have you, actually having parents provide what questions they faced, why they made the decision that they did, and then doing that full circle storyline of not only did we make that decision, like a current parent would be able to provide in this type of testimonial, but they can after the fact say, and my gosh, this was the best decision because look at what he's doing after the fact or she's doing or wherever they are doing after the fact. Not only did I make this decision to start, I'm so committed and so happy with my decision through and through because their ongoing journey after the fact. So those testimonials are really valuable. The parent ambassador space. Now, this might be more to those K-8 schools. It depends on what type of relationship you have with parents. But we've actually developed parent ambassador positions on our portal where if a child is going off to high school and a current parent is trying to decide where to send their child off to for high school. You can have these parent ambassadors who have sent their child off to high school X and have a current parent be able to speak with that parent X, I mean at high school X to provide advice of saying, "Hey, what was the transition like to this new high school? What were the challenges? What was the homework hour increase? Were there any surprises?" Having these parent ambassadors be able to share their own experience of what their child's transition between institutions is like is really useful. As I mentioned, our portal has that ability. There are some schools we've worked with that have just a short list of, hey, here are a few parents that really work well with this initiative. If I'm asked about from a current parent to talk with someone, I can use this list of 5 to, direct them to the right contact. Or you can put it in their own parents' hands and say, hi, so and so, you like, and this is the so and so being the current parents, you're able to log in, find the parents you want to talk to, and be off on your own and be able to have these conversations rather than it being completely curated from the school's behalf. That's positive in a few ways. One, it's showing you trust the relationship of these parents you're talking to. All of them are prepared to be able to have this conversation on their own, and you're not needing to curate exactly who they speak to because you don't want a current parent to talk with someone, whatever that experience might be. You're showing the trust of parents talking to parents, and it's removing the amount of effort it takes you to have to do manual matching of let me link this parent with that parent, and instead it's allowing them to connect with each other. So what we're looking at here is, and I'm going to go all the way back to the beginning. And I think I'm sticking to that 30-minute mark as I said at the beginning of the call. We have talked about multiple ways parents of alumni can stay active. One is really their role in that young alumni space. That's going to be their main role, is being able to help with data, being able to communicate with their child about ongoing, events that are available to them. The next one is career and networking opportunities. This is a broader, any age range, local parents continuing to be able to support by providing either volunteer roles, advice, and being able to talk to current students or alumni, or they're actually able to provide job opportunities within their own space, or they're able to ask their peer network to say, hey, do you have any opening job opportunities or internships? Happy to share it with this school. The third is those fundraising efforts. Again, cautious tale here. They've already felt like they've donated and given a lot to the school. So you want to have that fine line. But there are those loyalist parents that would be willing to give, especially if they see you continuing to provide value to their child. And then last is that marketing and volunteer opportunities. Get those testimonials in, have them be able to talk with current parents or prospective parents, show that full circle story of, I used to be in your place, I made this decision, my child had a great time here. They're being more than successful in whatever stage of life that they've continued on to, all because it started at this institution. So I've done a whole lot of talking at you for the last 30 minutes. I'm happy to stay on. I'm going to share all of the resources that I have talked about on today's call. If you have any questions, feel free to post them in the chat, and I'll be sending out a video recording and the slides as well very soon. Thanks for your time, everyone. Excellent. Well, thank you all for joining. I'll share out more materials later, and we will have another call in 2 weeks' time. And I'm forgetting what that topic is, but it'll come through in that email. Thank you, everyone.